Sure.
Okay. Well, welcome to the new edition, the new 5 o'clock edition, the early bird special of the Board of Trustees of Township. We're one trustee short. I don't know if he's coming late, but we'll save him a seat if so. Fire Chief and Fiscal Officer this evening. I would entertain a motion to adopt minutes of February 4th, 2019.
I so move.
A motion, and I'll second the motion. Any further discussion regarding those minutes? I saw no additions or subtractions or anything. They were nice, nicely complete. Hearing none, may we vote, please?
Sure. I'm Mr. Reacher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Now entertain a motion to approve payment of the bills, $55,939.82. Broken down, general fund, $8,096.37. Fire fund, $31,816.08. Cemetery fund, $1,024.56. EMS billing, $5,124.41. And road bridge, $8,893.44. Ooh, that's a big one. And capital fund projects, $984.96. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve payment of these bills.
I'll second that. Any further discussion regarding payment of these accounts?
I can just tell you the reason why the road and bridge was big is because of the property insurance.
Oh,
Is the biggest part. And it's all inflated, same with the general fund and the fire. There you go.
okay, thank you. Hearing no further discussion, may we vote, please?
Mr. Reacher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Correspondence for this period, announcement from Charter Communications, League of Women Voters newsletter, OTA Association monthly newsletter, email from Connections, email from the Ohio Cemetery Association about the annual convention coming up, email from MSA and USDA about the bid questions, more emails from MSA about bid documents, and slab loadings, an email from DMS Inc. about the postcard mailing and invoice, which they never had sent us. It was mailed, and it was never invoiced, so now we've taken care of that. CareWorks quarterly report, email from DCA Roofing, wondering about the new firehouse roof. Bob Geyer's annual county meeting announcement and RSVP forms, which need to be sent in here eventually, everybody, like day after tomorrow, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
The minutes from February 7th, MVRPC Executive Committee and news release about the Miami Valley Coordinated Public Transportation Human Services Transportation Plan. Whew, that's a big one. Fund status and preparation status for today. Any further correspondence? I have one from the Bobcat Company, so I'll get to that one. Fire Department report, please.
Alrighty. Since the last board meeting, there have been 39 EMS incidents, 18 fire incidents, and 2 fire safety inspections. Of all that, nothing of real super consequence. Just the usual. Just for your information, for the month of January, our first full month with Bath Township, we had 12 responses to Bath Township, or our portion of it. 5 of those were car crashes, 2 were fire alarms, and 5 were medical incidents.
People can drive in Bath Township.
They were all on 230. Yeah, well, yeah, 3 were on 235, 1 on Trayvine Road, and 1 on Fairfield and Westingate.
Any of them give you any issues, problems, anything that you need to review about how you would respond in the future?
No, the only thing we're looking into is changing the mutual aid responders who are coming into Bath Township to assist us. Kind of changing the order of who comes in. We had a fire alarm, one of the 2 fire alarms, they were at the same place. They were at the old country club. And I think it was a Sunday night or something. And Joe and Nick Miller Jacobson were on duty that night. They were on a medical call in Clifton when this fire alarm came in. It was 11 something at night. So they were doing that. dispatch truck told Tones, nobody else was responding, so they asked dispatch to send the next mutual aid unit, which normally would have been the city of Fairborn, but since they're not responding to that township, it was Zinga Township. Normally that's not too bad, except that night Zinga Township was staffing the south station instead of the north station. So 152 responded, but it's coming all the way from the south side of Zinga,
Yeah.
which gave Joe and Nick time basically to leave the call in Clifton, because it was over, we'll come back here, get our fire truck and go out to the scene. They canceled Zinga Township, all was fine, it was a false alarm. They were on scene for about 40 minutes, talking with the key holder about different options for key boxes and all that kind of stuff. So it was a positive experience overall. Unfortunately, some of the Bath Township trustees critics picked up on that and put it all over the social media stuff. So we're looking at moving Wright Patterson Fire up. I mean, currently they're low down. We don't work with them a whole lot, but realistically, Wright Pat sits, I don't know, let's say 6. That's not fair, but they're fully staffed, often waiting for something to
And
do.
only 3 or 4 miles away.
Exactly.
Where are they on the base?
They have
Off the base.
3 stations, I believe. So the one closest to us is where the headquarters is, off of 444 area A, I think that is. And they've got a massive firehouse there that's staffed with, I think, something like 18 guys or something. That's the one that responds in the Fairborn most of the time. And I haven't, I'll see Chief King tomorrow at the Chiefs meeting, but I haven't had a chance to speak to him yet about it. But apparently he mentioned that to Steve Ross, that they would be happy to do that, so. And then they're close and usually staffed. There are the 2 stations, there's one that's just the flight line station, and then there's one in the lab section area. B, I think it is. Which would not help us much, it's supposed to be B, but I mean, they've always been a big help for Fairborn, because they show up with a bunch of guys who are well trained and well equipped, and
So they can basically zip in through the back end of Fairborn there, Broad Street, and into Central or whatever, and then on to Dayton Yellow Springs. And
Yep, yeah, they must come right down Dayton Hill Springs, go right past the Fairborn Firehouse, and
Yeah.
so, I'll talk to Chief King about that tomorrow morning and see, and they're in the original mutual aid contract, so, then they can do that. And obviously, I mean, there's always, they could be busy with something else, or if there's some security threat, they don't leave the base, but hopefully that's not gonna be very common.
How far away is Bethel Township's response area?
The part that they respond to?
Well, I mean, where they would respond from, I don't know how many facilities they have
They are coming from, Medway.
in Medway.
Yeah, Garlaw and Medway Road, I think,
Mm.
is where their station is, so. They kind of zoom over and come down Spangler, I think, is that
Yeah.
and I'm not sure, I hear they've been pretty busy in their section of that as well,
Is that
so.
right?
But I haven't spoken with Jake since the early stages of this, so.
Did you get any more requests from Bath Township about a personal appearance?
No,
Uh-huh.
no, I sent the board a monthly report with breakdowns that, I had done for a resident who requested public records request for times. So I sent that along, and then, Trustee Ross contacted me and had some questions, and seemed very happy as long as I told him I would send, once a month, send those over, and that if they ever need me for something special, just let me know, I'm happy to, if I can move it. But, I have a regular appointment here. And he seemed very happy with that, so. Very pleased, so. As we've, excuse me, moving right along, as we've slowly been increasing the number of members, it's been pretty clear, especially with a lot of younger people in the department, that we need more supervisors. Currently, we only have 3, which includes Danny and Nate. That's it. So we opened up a promotional process, thinking that we'd get maybe 2 guys interested in that. So that's good. Good pool to choose from.
We don't have any captains and lieutenants and.
Right, we just have Nate. Chief, assistant chief, and lieutenant, and that's it. So
Yeah, we
this would
used
be.
to have all kinds of
We
officers.
used to have tons. So this would be for sergeant. I'm not sure how many positions. So the organizational chart has 3, up to 3, but we'll see. So So I'm meeting with all the candidates Tuesday night, and then, there's a written test they have to do, 2 tabletops, and then, 2 interviews. So in that process, it should be 2027, and we should have someone in place, so. I should also point out that, in the bills we had on the visa, there was a bill for Facebook. We boosted our employment ads. Something happened because we've received 4 applications now, so as people do.
You've received them or sent them out to inquiries?
We've actually received them.
Good.
No, so these are to be volunteers or?
No, for the part-time positions.
Part-time positions.
I mean, the downside to a Facebook ad, as I've learned, is that we received a lot of interest, but a lot of people don't read what it's for, so. One guy, his degree is from the University of Caffeine or something. I mean, there's some of those crazy things, and then a few people who are just really nice, but aren't certified at all. But luckily, we've got several candidates that we're working them through the process now. The forcible entry training door was delivered on the 6th, whichever day that was, 2 Wednesdays ago. And the manufacturer did an in-service, so 6 of us were trained, plus Chief Miller, Captain Brown from Cedarville. And we received $1,500 from the Cedarville Fire Department Firemen's Association as their payment into it. It was less than we were hoping for. It was less than they'd asked for, but probably more than we were expecting. So
Is our association kicking in any, or is
they paid
that-
$2,500.
Oh, they
Yeah.
paid
Yeah, they paid the down payment,
Uh-huh.
which was nice. So we paid the $7,500, then minus the $1,500 from Cedarville. So 6,000 is what our share is. So and we're housing it, so I guess that's fair. So the original idea was like a 3-way split, but apparently Cedarville doesn't operate that way.
It cost $7,500?
It cost $10,000.
Oh, it cost 10,
Yeah.
okay.
So the association did the down payment with $2,500. We did the rest, and then Cedarville reimbursed us with $1,500. So Nate and I are going to meet with Chief Miller hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so to come up with an MOU on when they use it, because there's consumables that go with it, pieces of wood that go
Right.
into the door, and what they're going to pay. Because we don't want to front those costs, obviously. Well, I mean, we'll front them, but we won't reimburse. So, and then we received our 2018 billing summary from MediCount. I don't know if you guys got a copy of that.
No, not our
Okay.
copy.
So on my report to you, shows what we did last year. We had $456,000 in charges, what we billed to insurance companies. We received $167,597. Not bad. But it's down 22.7% from the previous year. Now, part of that is because we had less transports, so that's a big, we treated and released more people. And then Heath, our rep, had also advised us that with changes in the ACA that were taking effect in 2018, our reimbursements would come down some of that. So our collection rate dropped 8.8% to 83.9%, which is still one of the highest that they have. So that's wonderful. And our net revenue dropped 10.9% to $303 per call. But that's still actually significantly higher than most everyone else that we're dealing with. So, they are still very impressed with our numbers, and they continue. Part of that is that Miami Township is a highly insured area, so, which is nice. But then he looked at this. There's some recommendations we have. The individual billing rates. We haven't changed ours, I think, since 2014. Excuse me. So he made some recommendations based on his discussions with MediCount to change a few of the things. He looked at what the average was for all the other departments that MediCount deals with in our area. We're way below. So the recommendation is to keep the BLS calls the same. That's the majority of our things. Right? $650. MediCount agreed with that. The ALS calls, where a paramedic is doing skills. ALS 1 is just a basic paramedic call, and ALS 2 is where we do the whole thing. To increase those, ALS 1 from $750 to $785, and ALS 2 from $850 to $982. That brings more in line with what regional things are doing, and increase our loaded mile rate from $13 to $16 per loaded mile. And that should help increase some revenue a little bit also. And again, all that is paid by the insurance companies. Companies are getting more off, as you can see in that front page charge, we wrote off $66,208 for residents.
Mhm.
Well, residents and then hardship cases as well,
Yeah.
since we don't hard bill. And then the adjustments are like you have in your EOBs from your insurance company, it's the stuff that they agree to do.
Mhm.
Most of that is the Medicare and Medicaid, you know, they just power to adjust things, so. So, in the past, we've had you guys just do a motion to accept these rates, and we'll let them know if that works for you guys. It's not a huge increase, and again, it's not gonna affect people's out of pocket, because it's just going to the
I'm
insurance.
really impressed with the process.
Good.
Do you have any
I
input about the rate change? I mean, do you support that?
would support it, I would make a motion. I'm not quite sure how the wording would go, to adopt the
New
rate
rates is-
increases identified on page 2 of your memo.
Sounds good.
Second that. Any further discussion about the rate increase? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Hollister,
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher,
Yes.
when it says averages, average, is that like what the average insurance companies?
Oh, and that,
Yeah, what's it?
those are the averages of the Medi-Cal, what other departments are charging in our area.
Yeah, okay.
So then we average those out, and we found it was, again, below in almost everything, so. And that is primarily just because I didn't realize most departments look at this every year and increase their rates, and we're a little bit on the conservative side of that, so.
So on an insurance page, they pay, don't they have like a flat rate that they'll pay regardless of what you get billed?
Well,
Yeah.
Medicare, right, they pay a flat.
Medicare pays whatever the heck they want, Medicare and Medicaid. I mean, these are all based on their rates, because CMS sends out what they're willing to pay for ambulance things. We have some insurers that pay whatever we bill, typically the pension insurance. So there's someone out there who's a postal employee retiree, whatever we bill, they pay. There's a railroad guy, same thing. And the bakers and confectioners union pension plan, sometimes they actually even pay more than we bill, which is really bizarre, so.
They pay it in donuts?
Oh, that would be nice. But, most of our patients, it's a mix of private insurance and, actually, it's in here. I think the 60% of ours were private insurance, or primary. 60.5%, 0.8% of Medicaid, and 36% of Medicare,
Mhm.
and then 2.8%. Which is pretty much in line
I'm
with,
surprised that Medicaid is so low.
as was I. Well, I think Medicaid is so low just because that's underpayments, because they don't reimburse much at all. For instance, I mean, like standard, what do we pay? a BLS call, which is a lot of Medicaid patients, will charge $650 and they'll pay us $93.
All right.
Yeah, state of Ohio Medicaid budget's pretty stingy, but it's revenue we wouldn't have had in the past, so $93 and $93, so. So yeah, thank you very much, I'll notify that account and we can do that. Just something else to mention, we've been doing Ian's been doing all the annual safety inspections for the apparatus, which are all required. And everything's actually been pretty good, I mean, he's had to replace batteries, and Jenny too had all 6 need to be replaced. It's a lot of batteries. The rescue needed its batteries, but it's actually been a lot. Some of these things you're like, oh, we need to replace those things. And then Medic 82 had a problem with it's got a hydraulic spring system in the back to keep the ride smooth, and they were leaking. So the labor wasn't covered, but the parts were covered by the warranty still. So that was good. But other than that, he said it's in good shape.
Any wood around here? Nope.
Yeah, well, it's fake wood, but I'm not going to, so. That's us.
Okay, anything else, Don, anything else for the fire?
Nope.
I would like to request an executive session for personnel compensation. Move.
I'll second, or I'll move, and you second.
Okay, all
Hold
in
on now,
favor?
you guys, did you move and
Yes, I
second,
did.
right? That's just it. Alright.
Well, because I thought it out, I figured, what, you know.
It's been double moved, so.
You notice the power cord's not on that?
Well, it's on battery power.
Oh
If I
no.
want to plug it in. Nice notice.
Well, anyway.
All right, well, okay now.
All right, we are back from executive session, and I believe we have a motion as a result of the discussion.
I would move that we increase Danny Powell's salary to $60,000.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
I will second it.
Motion and a second, any further discussion regarding that motion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Yeah, that should be. That's it. I will be out of town Friday through Sunday night at the National Fire Academy. Unless it's completely snowed in. Where is it gonna be? The National Fire Academy in Maryland, for its annual Stairflying Coordinators meeting that we always do there.
Is it Baltimore or is it another?
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, is that right?
Emmitsburg,
Oh.
it's the Panhandle,
Mhm.
near Hagerstown.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful place. Near Camp David, actually, so I'm staying at Camp David.
I'm nodding.
I'm now with Melania. Donald doesn't like it, but Melania will be there, so.
Anything else, Bart? Bart, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. Don, anything else?
Nope.
All right, new firehouse report, we're, what is today? Wednesday. So we're done with public advertisements for the bidding for the new firehouse. The bids will be opened a week, or Tuesday coming up, the 27th. We had the pre-bid meeting on Tuesday. There were 12 attendees.
36
Yeah. For, and I said to myself, there's not as many as the last time. Well, of course, why would anybody from the last time, the last 2 times, have come this time, to listen to the same thing again?
Right.
So,
Oh, Venture One did.
yeah, that's true. A couple of them did, but most of them were new, which I guess is good, because that's just, there's potential more bidders. So, I'm encouraged. I believe that's really all for the new stuff.
Whatever happens this coming Tuesday will be big news,
It will be big news, and
hopefully positive.
don't let me forget to advertise that on the bulletin board website.
This coming to, oh, it is this coming to.
So as an
Yeah.
official meeting.
Yeah. So that's Tuesday at, does anybody remember?
Wait.
1:30? I believe it's 1:30.
Tuesday the 27th.
Yeah. Oh, we got it.
No, that's not right.
No?
Well, today's the 20th.
That's Wednesday, the 27th. Yeah, it's next Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
Oh, it's a Wednesday. Oh, that's right, the last bids were on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
These were on
Yeah, 1:30,
See, I
right.
can do math.
1:30.
Good thing I was here.
Very good. Okay, we'll move to Cemetery Road. The road administrator has been was plowing most of the evening, so he's not here with us this evening. He did give me a call, and we talked about what might be top of mind, and he let us know that he had conducted 3 burials over the past period, and I believe has one scheduled for this coming Monday. I think that's what he said. We did a road tour, public meeting last Monday? Week ago Monday?
I knew it was gonna be on Thursday, but you had to change it. It was
Oh,
gonna be
yeah,
on
we changed
Thursday,
it
but you had
to
change it.
Friday because of the snow. It was out last Friday. We marked a lot of roads to resurface next summer in the collective bid with the Greene County Engineers Office, and he codified those requests for the engineer and took them down there and submitted them and roughed out approximately $105,000 worth of repairs for 2019. Substantially more than we've done in the past, but we do have the funds for it, and we do need the maintenance on these roads. So this is probably a good time. It's a good time as any to do it.
Do you got the cash?
Yeah. Show me the money. Speaking of cash, we talked about acquiring another used Bobcat for the road department, and he's been in conversations with Bobcat of Dayton and Columbus. They're all the same. It's the same company, and they suggested a couple of machines, and they were like bookends. One was a little too high, and one was a little too low, a little too expensive, and one was a little too cheap. So I sent back a memo to the guy, said, maybe we can get this just right. So we're gonna work on that. There's no hurry for it though. The old one still runs, and the representative came down and kicked the tires. Said they'd give us $8,000 for that one. And I think $2,000 or $2,500 for the attachments for it, which would not fit on a current model. The current one we have is a 1991 or 93 model. It is old. Doesn't have, I mean, it doesn't have a zillion hours. It's got a little over 1,500, I think it is, which is not much for equipment, but it's much for the amount of work we put this one through, because it's seen better days. But anyway, I thought that was pretty good trade-in. Of course, it's, you know, like going to buy a new car, they always jack up the price, but these are used. 91 the one we have. The used
You
ones.
would be buying used ones still.
It would be. One was, the expensive one was a 2016 with less than 500 hours on it for $42,000 before the trade-in, and the lesser expensive one was a 2015 with 900 hours on it for $28,000. I just thought there was a little too many hours to start off with. I'd like to keep it under 5. So at the end, I mean, I'm not saying myself. I'm just saying that's what the department recommendation is. We'll see what they came up with. Like I said, we're not in a big hurry for it. And that's all. So, anything else for the road/cemetery? Hearing none, then we move to the fiscal officer's report.
Just so I can be part of the team, I have another resolution for y'all. So I have something for you here. This is the resolution 2019-8 amendment of temporary appropriations. Whereas it is an ongoing process to determine appropriations for the fiscal year 2019, and whereas it is required to submit all appropriation changes to the 2019 budget to the county auditor. Now therefore, the trustees authorize the following change to the temporary appropriations and instruct the fiscal officer to submit them to the county auditor. In the general fund, these are just temporary appropriations that we increased, which I remind you, the temporary appropriations were basically just a quarter of what we would normally appropriate. So it was increased by $5,146, and I believe it was maybe about $1,000 over what we had appropriated for the year. So it was a little bit of an increase. Road and bridge property insurance increased by $2,846. I think I only had to increase that by less than $1,000, maybe. I can't remember right now.
Your explanations are confusing me.
Yeah, I'm
Are
sorry.
you saying increase to 5,146 or by?
Well, buy. I think the temporary appropriation that we did for this, which is kind of my bad, I would say, because I kind of forgot. I usually
Should have front-loaded them.
I should have front-loaded because I know it's always in the beginning of the year, and lots of times we have our permanent appropriations already set in place by now. Anyway, and so
This is a one-time charge.
it's just our annual thing, and and each one of these did go up a little bit from we had to spend last year, but it's confusing, Don. It's confusing for me the way I'm explaining it. Anyway, in the cemetery fund, advertising was increased by $800, and that's basically due to the postcard mailing thing that we did. And then for the fire fund, we increased that by $1,969.
Now, I know the rates went up because we increased the equipment rates, which we talked about last time.
Right.
But I was under the assumption that our yearly premium was basically supposed to be the same forever. Isn't that what they said when we signed up with them?
I don't remember,
No?
to tell you the truth, I don't remember.
All right. Well, it's not that much.
No, I mean, I could go get, what we spent last year, and I know it wasn't outrageous increases on all the other ones. The fire one, funding's the one, to give a bit of a jump, because we were underinsured. The fire department was, so. Anyway.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2019-8?
I would make that motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Hollister seconds. Any further discussion regarding 2019-8? What are you grinning about?
Go ahead, please have your vote.
Okay.
Busted.
Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Mucher,
Yes.
Mr. Crockett,
Yes.
Mr. Hollister.
Yes.
As far as our permanent appropriations are concerned, maybe, you can give me any suggestions, changes that you want to make to what the information is you have been given. I know Colin has just started to look over his budget, his appropriations, so we can maybe do them at the next meeting?
Okay.
I know you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, I haven't heard anything.
No, next meeting would be great for me.
Well, if you, do you still have the appropriations that we proposed for 2019? And Don, do you have the information you need?
I have the information, I haven't, I'll be ready by next,
Yeah, or
I'll communicate before.
if you wanna,
next
give me
meeting.
get your suggested changes, we can incorporate them or we'll talk about them and whatever. Okey dokey.
Okay, thank you.
And I did visit the newspaper, and so I guess the paper's gonna be a day late, but Friday, this coming Friday and next Thursday, there's a public hearing notice to hear the zoning amendments at the March 4th meeting.
Mhm.
Okay? Look at the paper, done. Okay, that's all I have.
Since you are the official parliamentarian, we need to go back to the fire department report and back to the executive session and back to the motion following the executive session. How would
Should I
you?
rewind the tape?
Yeah, How would you like to do that? Would you like to amend that? We need to change that.
I don't think
Reduce
we
it?
need to go back into executive session.
No, but
We can talk about
just the motion itself. Should we amend it? Should we?
Yeah, I'd say, move and second to amend the previous motion
You want to be
Yeah.
to
parliamentarian?
what it's gonna
Well,
be.
let me just go ahead. I'll make another motion. My motion was to make Denny Powell's salary $60,000, and that was based on a roughly $5,000 increase. With the information that his salary was $54,600, and now I'm told his current salary is $57,033. So a 5,000 increase would be $63,000. So I would like to we'll just make a new motion that we raise Denny Powell's salary to $63,000.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Any further discussion? I guess we ought to throw in that is not a step raise. That is in consideration of the additional responsibilities he's undertaken as a result of our contract with Bath Township, and the bulk of the work that's going to happen out there is going to be EMS as opposed to fire, and that's his basic responsibility. So this is reflecting that additional responsibility, and this money will come directly from the contribution from Bath Township for the service we're providing. And if at the end of the year we feel that we're not being adequately compensated for what service we're providing them, we'll negotiate an additional amount at that time, so, anyway, that's,
And I should toss in the calls we had in January, the 5 medical incidents were all transports, and 3 out of the 5 crashes had transports. So that kind of swaps.
yeah. Any further discussion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Beecher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so then we will zip back to the zoning inspector's report, which won't be until the next time, but kind of in there, I just wanted to let you know that Green County is undertaking revising their 20-year comprehensive plan and making initial plans and initial conversations with MVRPC to assist in that process. And of course, as this goes along, this is going to be a minimum of a 12-month, it might be a little more than that, process of visioning. Everybody remembers our friendly visioning sessions in the past, but we'll have more coming up, and other things. And then
This is a
we'll-
20-year land use plan.
yes, the county plan.
Right.
And then, in addition, the 2020 census is approaching. It will begin in April, and the county is intending upon putting together a complete, what's called a complete census committee, which they're dedicated to getting the most accurate count possible. And you need to keep in mind that the census determines a zillion things, but the main thing, one of the main things it determines is what your proportion of federal dollars are distributed to your jurisdiction based on all those factors that censuses generate, housing units and, number of, family members and incomes and
Number of
costs.
citizens.
Yeah, citizens. So, we need to support that process as best we can as we go forward. So, if I hear things that we might be able to do, I will let us know.
Thanks.
Standing committee reports, MVRPC. Tell me you didn't bring it. Oh, we did bring
Do
that.
I have the list, do I have the list correct now?
Yes, we did, thank you. Well, the main things we did is we had a nice presentation about the census coming forward, and Brian House gave an excellent impact study, or I'm sorry, Brian House, Matt Lindsay gave an excellent impact study on the Miami Valley Trails.
Is this the board of directors or the executive committee?
This is the actual directors committee.
Okay.
And Brian, yeah, he is.
You say
Brian
Brian
passed out.
Lindsay?
Matt Lindsay.
Oh, Matt Lindsay.
Brian passed out his executive director's update, and I noticed that the little blurb on the new ODOT director, Jack Marchbanks, which is very impressive. He's going to be the speaker at Bob Geyer's annual meeting in March. So
March 12th.
March 12th. So you might want to take a look at this just to get a little background on that. Oh, you did break that down. I don't know, we need to do executive committee, I'm sorry. The first one, did you add that?
I added the TAC thing. I
Yeah.
think that's the one that wasn't, that I kept forgetting to do.
Okay, I don't ever remember the executive being on there, I mean, the board of directors.
Well, I can,
Yeah,
it's really easy on the computer to delete one of those.
More things to talk about.
Well, usually that's really boring, because all it is approving payments of the board.
What, the executive committee?
Yeah,
So you want to explanate that?
yeah, I think so. There really
So
isn't-
we'll just do the board of directors then,
Okay.
and the TAC committee, right?
Okay.
All right, well, it might take me a couple months to remember that.
So, TAC committee.
The next meeting is tomorrow,
Oh, how
and I did not go to last
close.
month,
Okay,
so I have no report.
we'll look forward to the next one. Regional planning, we did that last night. It was really just a couple of very small agenda items. We talked again about the census, we talked about comprehensive plan, and we also made a excellent decision to increase the compensation of the only full-time only full-time assistant, I guess it would be now, to the director, Jessica, because she's been doing excellent work, and I told you about that in the annual report, which I never did put my fingers on it, but I did bring work that she did about preparing for the census, and she put together this this brochure about the county census, and a lot of statistical maps about how all the different jurisdictions have historical
Response rates.
response rates, thank you. These are the opposite response rates. These are not the positive response rates, these are the negative response rates. So, I'll take a look at that, that's Jessica's work also. And the mill sign. I did a P and L for the mill, and I forgot to print it out and bring it, so I'll do that for next time.
P&L.
Your profit loss for the year.
What's the short P&L was?
That's fiscal officer talk, I thought you would. Mark, anything going on senior-wise? Or economic sustainability-wise?
Economic sustainability, I did go to the last two meetings. The last one was our analysis of the first one, which was our retreat, which was very good. The working of the statements and analysis that people made in response to the retreat were infinitely valuable, and as far as I'm concerned, it gives me tools to think about our function as a township in relationship to the Economic Sustainability Committee, which is mainly focused on the village itself.
Of course.
Is any of that up on a website yet?
No. But it can be, once I've learned how to.
Well, I thought maybe the commission posted on the village website,
I don't know.
or committee, not commission.
I will give them a call and.
Any Clifton Cemetery chatter?
No Clifton Cemetery chatter. I do have a couple, call them reports, or we could put them under old business.
From Clifton?
No,
Oh, okay, well, because.
but not on this list.
Okay. We haven't received a maintenance invoice from Dan, have we, for 2018 for Clifton?
No.
No, we haven't. We'll have to get on that.
Well, let's talk to him about that.
I think we will.
I think we shall.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
new
about
bu-
that time of year.
New business, I already talked about the census, so I've lost my new business. Old business?
I talked to Lamar Spracklin about the Land Lease Corporation that has been getting options on land for solar farm
Mhm.
in the eastern part of our township and mostly in Cedarville.
Mhm.
And he said they're still underway. I thought the activity was over. They're still looking for farmers, and he was guessing it was a 50-50 chance that it would actually come to pass.
Mhm.
That, but again, there's active solicitation
Mhm.
of auctions on farmland, and it's not just an issue of a direct option for putting solar array up, but also access for running either above ground or buried connecting power lines. That it's impractical in some cases to go in a public right of way, and they want a new right of way from private landowners. And then separately, not directly township business, but I think of interest, I went to the new Director of Agriculture, Dorothy Polanda, made a presentation at Springfield,
Yeah.
primarily to farmers, but it was focusing on a renewed emphasis by the new state administration on agriculture as a primary business, and that Jobs Ohio would shift a lot of its focus, not away from other kinds of business, but would add agriculture as one of its priorities.
Excellent.
I was extremely impressed
Good to hear. Yeah.
that viewing not just farming, but agriculture-related business as a priority and something for job expansion. Not, whereas often people are talking about it as just kind of maintaining what we got and status quo.
Well, they're really gearing up the system.
I was really impressed.
Supercharged. Great. Thank you. Any other old business? Mark, you got anything? My only thing is the website is just about complete. I've sent links to everybody, including you, for review, so perhaps by our next meeting, we'll end up going live. So, anything else this evening? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn just before 6.
Whew.